Previously on Spenelli Speaks. We get to review Confessions of a Domestic Failure by readathon. Hi everyone, Danny here. Welcome back to my channel. Today is another day of reviews in my 31 days of book reviews in honor of my birthday month. I have been having such a blast giving you all these book reviews because I love booktube having book reviews available to all of you. So I'm glad that I've been able to fill my feed full of book reviews. So I hope they've been helpful for you as well. There are many more to come this month as we are only about mid-month, so stay tuned for all of those. Now also stay tuned to the end of this video so you have a chance to vote in our Friday's review. As for tomorrow, it is a rapid review and those selections are voted on in our last review, which was Confessions of a Domestic Failure. The two books that were voted on in that video were Love in the Time of Cholera and Fried Green Tomatoes. So either one of those will be in tomorrow's rapid review. So that'll be exciting to see who wins. Now for today, the book was voted by a mere one vote. It almost was another tiebreaker, and I mean mere, pun intended, because we are going to be reviewing C.S. Lewis's Mere Christianity today. Now, I read this book with a group of lovely ladies who all participated in a couple of live streams to discuss the book, and I'll put all of those live streams in the description below. They are all held over on Krista's channel at Books and Jams, and it was an excellent read-along. It really helped kind of understand what was happening in this group of essays. Now, I'm going to discuss this book here as a review as more of a scholar rather than taking it from the Christian point of view. So I'll talk about this book just as an academic. Now, C.S. Lewis, this was actually first published in a verbal way. So he actually created a few essays and read them over the radio during World War II. So he put together essays on Christianity, Mere Christianity, and spoke them over the radio. During this time, as during the Blitz, many people were questioning themselves, questioning their faith and questioning their Christianity. So he put together essays and spoke them over the radio waves. Now, something that's very interesting about C.S. Lewis is he is pretty darn clever. He is very intelligent, quick-witted, and just downright sarcastic. So as you're reading these essays, do note that C.S. Lewis has somewhat of a sense of humor. He also speaks in metaphor. Like almost every other line is some kind of metaphor. Now, don't get me wrong, he does a really great job of it, and some of these metaphors are chuckle-worthy, but they get the point across. He makes a simple argument for a seemingly difficult concept. Though I feel the essays were well done, I also feel like they almost were better spoken rather than read. I did get caught up in a lot of the language and had to reread several paragraphs because I wasn't quite sure what he was saying. So that was what was so great about reading this with a group of people, because we were able to kind of help each other through lines that were seemingly confusing. That was probably my favorite part, was being able to read with other people. I would recommend this to anyone, whether you feel like you're a Christian or not. I feel like academically it's a pretty good group of essays, and whether you believe or you don't believe, it really gives a great understanding of why one is a believer and what Christianity is and what it is not. So I believe that even if you feel like you are a Christian or you aren't a Christian, you have a great understanding of what that actually means. I feel like I kind of repeated myself right there. Anywho, as a whole, I did truly appreciate reading this, and I feel like it's something that I will come back to and reread in the future because there were so many pieces that I either glazed over while reading or just didn't quite get it. And I feel like if I were to come back and maybe read parts by themselves and then come back and read more parts, I would get a better understanding and feel better about my own understanding of Christianity. I feel like he does a nice job of not letting the reader feel incompetent. He really is trying to make it as inclusive as he can. Now, there are some pieces that are a little dated, I will give you that, but understandably, this is someone who has been writing this in a time era that some things that was the norm, so to speak. I also really like the fact that of any author that I've read, C.S. Lewis had the opportunity to discuss his work with his readers quite frequently, and he did that with many of his works, not only this work, which in this particular edition, you can see that he comes back and kind of retorts on some of the critics that discussed his radio talks. So he addresses some of that in here, which is really cool because you don't see that a lot with authors. A lot of times authors write a book and they don't say anything about it. And sometimes that's really good, and sometimes you just want to know more. And I feel like C.S. Lewis, in his time of authorship, he had a great opportunity to be able to talk to his readers and talk to his critics and tell them why he did the things he did. Narnia is a great example of that. He was successful in his lifetime. And though we have authors now that will talk about their works, I think it's a little bit different when we see authors that are so profound that they had that communication with their readers, which is really exceptional. So C.S. Lewis is one of my favorite authors, and I definitely see a lot of his personality in this group of essays. So if you are a C.S. Lewis fan, I do highly recommend this piece. All in all, I think it was done quite well. Now it's time to pick our reviews for Friday, and I'm totally flipping the script away from nonfiction and going into more of a, I would say, kid-friendly zone. And I am going to offer up our first selection of Artemis Fowl for Friday. This is a middle grade book, so this will be your first selection. So Artemis Fowl will be your number one selection. And then your second selection will be a graphic novel that I recently read because of a Netflix show that I started watching, which is Sweet Tooth. So I will be reviewing the first 5 issues of Sweet Tooth, and I will compare it to the show. Now, I do have one last episode I have to see of the show because, again, my husband falls asleep all the time. So I have one episode left, but I still do think I can go ahead and give you a good comparison of the comics versus the show. So those are your two options, Artemis Fowl or Sweet Tooth. And like I said, I will give you a comparison of the show. So let me know in the comments below for Friday, would you like Artemis Fowl or Sweet Tooth? Well, until next time, I hope you all are reading something great, taking care, and staying safe. And as always, you know how it goes. Happy reading. Bye.